Howdy, Ags. This is AP from the Tailgate, home of Aggie football, brought to you by White Claw. Just refreshing. Sup, Corey?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Guys, I want to remind everybody, just email us at agstailgate@gmail.com. Come see us on the YouTube channel. You can catch us on Instagram or Facebook. Listen to the pod on any probably any Spotify, Apple, whatever. So we're everywhere. Corey, that's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Football. I love Saturdays, sir.
Yes.
Oh, man. What a freaking awesome day.
It was a great day.
Yeah. I want to thank the folks over at Angry Elephant for hosting us for a long time.
Yeah. Thank Megan and Sam for putting up with us for a good 7, 8, 9 hours, however long we were there.
I'm pretty sure they asked us to leave on more than one occasion.
Yes.
Well, in that process, though, I mean, part of the reason we're there so long is that the Aggies played at 11 a.m. They beat, Sam Houston 31-0.
Mm-hmm.
But they had like a 4-hour rain delay in the middle.
It took forever. We didn't even know the game started back up. It was just like, what? There it is.
Yeah, the TV situation then, became interesting because of the fact that they were on like the
another game
alternate channel instead of the regular. But we figured it out.
Yeah.
All right, Corey. So rapid reaction, sort of high level.
Impressive watching the Aggies get on the field. The talent level was obviously different than Sam. Defense looked good. A number of different players played. You and I were figuring out who was who. Still getting used to the new players. There's just a huge difference in talent between Sam and A&M. I mean, we could have easily won that game 60-0.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think my first takeaway was definitely the talent level and the depth is unquestionable.
Mm-hmm.
It is unquestionable. I think along with that takeaway was the feeling there's still a lot of work to do.
Right.
So let's get into it.
Right.
Let's start off with the offense. I know what everybody wants to talk about. We want to talk about Haynes King. Everybody wants to hear what do we think about Haynes King. And Corey, I'm going to let you go first.
I was telling you the whole game I wasn't impressed with his mechanics. It seems like it takes him a while to cock the ball back, get rid of it. His reads weren't great. It seemed like he wanted just to throw the ball downfield. He looks like he would lock onto one receiver a couple times. I don't know. It seemed like it was Keith Brown going down the middle or Chase Lane for some reason. And but I mean, he made some good passes. There were some good throws in there. But overall, my grade, if I was to give him a grade, I'd say maybe a C.
So I'll say this. Look, we said all off season we want to see big plays from this offense.
Right.
We said it all off season. Jimbo said it all off season. That everybody has said it all off season. This offense needs to make some big plays. Well, we got it.
Yeah.
We got it. There was big plays, and there was some attempts to make some more big plays.
Right.
Especially in the passing game, right? There wasn't any big plays in the running game.
No.
But in the passing game, there was tons and tons of those things, man. And a couple of them for the other team, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a positive, honestly. I did like the fact that, look, we at least are running routes down the field and pushing the ball to these guys somewhat.
Right.
You're 100% right. Too much at times. And you have to sort of get used to doing it, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't think it's that crazy that he forced it a little bit in day one, right? Because, he's been getting that ingrained in his head every day of practice for the last 6 months.
And he's hearing it from people like us, too. I mean, people he's hearing, I'm sure he's listening to not just us, Texags. Hey, we need to see bigger plays. They said it on Texags. I heard him say it. We want to see the ball thrown downfield. I mean, it's just natural. He's listening to that, and he's like, he did that, but he made some mistakes with it.
He did. He made some mistakes. And this is – look, and his numbers, right? 20 of 31, 364 yards, 11.7 per attempt,
Yeah.
3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, right?
Right.
He also had 6 carries for 35 yards, so he made some plays with his legs as well on a couple of occasions for first downs too, important ones. So his numbers were pretty good. I mean, the 2 interceptions, we'll keep talking about this, right? But his numbers were pretty good. The yardage was good. The yards per attempt were good. It was good to see all that. I had a problem with the interceptions, obviously, but I had a problem with the interceptions specifically for one reason. Both of those picks, and there was another one that he threw into double coverage over to Evan Stewart on the right side. That could have been, right?
Right. Yeah.
If Evan Stewart's not the better athlete in that scenario, definitely has a chance, right?
Right.
But either way, 3 times, 2 resulted in interceptions, 1 didn't, that he forced the football down the field, it was on first down.
Yeah.
It was on first down. And so what's the problem here, right? Well, the problem is that first down, live to fight another day, right? Don't throw in the double coverage. If that's third down, the heck with it. If it gets intercepted, it's a punt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares?
Right.
But on first down, I mean, take the underneath throw and let those guys, and by the way, there was guys open underneath.
There were plenty of times we saw.
So he could have checked that down, boom, get you 5-6, second down, and go on and play another down, right? So I think that's a learning experience. I also think it's one of those situations that in the film room, it gets emphasized, right? All of a sudden, now we're talking about a guy, because I did see him go through progressions. I saw him go through progressions throughout the game. Obviously not in those occasions, right?
Mm-hmm.
He sort of locked in on somebody. But throughout the game, there was times when he hit a guy in his third progression. He hit a guy in his, second progression. And you could tell, and it was, I can't remember what the play was, but he was on one side completely and then comes back to the other side and then hits the guy in stride. I mean, so he made some good throws. You're right. Boy, he's got to wind up, man.
It does. Wind up is just...
He's got to wind up. But at the same time, Jimbo said it in his press conference, and when he said it, I was just kind of, eh. But to think about it a little bit more, every time he threw a pick, he came back and had a touchdown drive.
That's not acceptable.
Well, it means that the guy is playing, right? Like the guy is playing. He's got confidence, man. He's got a little bit of moxie about him. There's something to be said about that, right?
Yeah,
because the mistake doesn't stay with him, right?
I hear you, but I mean, it's the same problems that we were afraid of him having that you and I talked about in the past. Is Haynes King learned from his mistakes from Kent State last year, and he hasn't.
But he hasn't played since Kent State last year.
Yeah, he's practiced. He's practiced, and he's heard people talking about it. He can't make the same mistakes. And he did make the same mistakes. We know his arm, we know his legs, we know what he can do well, but it's the stuff that he doesn't do well that is putting that defense in a bad situation, which we have a great defense. We have a lot of talent.
Sure.
But we can't put them in bad situations by turning the ball over on first down. You got to sit there and make your reads.
But if you're going to throw a pick, throw it over the top, right?
But you have great athletes out there. That's the one thing, a lot of those big plays, because our guys are just a lot better than theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes down to playing better teams, it's not going to be the situation. Their guys are going to be able to keep up with some of our receivers. So that's what I want to see them do. I want to see us dominate a game like Alabama did, like Georgia did, because we have those kind of players. And we should be able to do that.
Sure, but Alabama and Georgia have guys at quarterback that have been starting for a year, right? A full season's worth of starts, and not only that, a playoff's worth of starts. Right? Those guys, Bennett's a freaking 6th-year guy. He's been there and played. Obviously Young played all last year. He won a Heisman, right?
I understand that, but I'm just saying, when it comes to those situations, I'm expecting him to make better decisions. And it's what it comes down to, decision making. He's got the talent. It's decision making. It's right here in his head. He's got to sit there, and he knows it's going to take a little time for progressions. He's got to. Marshall looked great as almost a possession receiver. He looked great. Big, tall target. He hit him. Keith Brown did better than I expected. Anias was Anias. Great.
Anias was the best Anias we've seen all ever.
Stewart. Great.
Stewart was great.
Great. There's a lot of players that we can go on
Evan
about.
Stewart, for his very first catch, has one on the sideline that he was, he extended him out a little too long, and he comes out and drops the toe, right? I mean, Anais on one of the corner routes, just like the one that was intercepted, by the way, except this one was just, he made, just a little bit, the defender was just a little bit short of it, and he came underneath it, and Anais went up and got it over the top, right?
Right.
I mean, real nice plays. And and we'll talk about the wide receivers, but here's, getting back to King, I'll say this. There was some maddening moments in that game with King.
Yeah.
A couple of things, too, where he had people around his feet that didn't allow him to step into throws, right? Offensive line. Sometimes he was uncomfortable in the pocket, and it wasn't really offensive line's fault, right? There was a couple of times. So I think some of those things will also...
everything will slow down to him. With more game experience, it'll slow down. That's what comes with experience. Things slow down to you. You know how much time you have. He has to get used to that offensive line. Either they're going to block it or not. He's going to learn that. He's going to learn where he can, move in the pocket a little bit, or when it's time to run.
And it's little movements, right?
Yeah,
like
just little.
Sometimes it was just a slide this way or slide that way.
And that comes with experience, and that's something that I guess we're going to have to take our licks with this year. But we're impatient. We're Aggies. That's what we do. We expect them to be great right now. That's what Aggies do. We expect you to be great. If you're a 3-star, play like a 4-star. If you're a 4-star, play like a 5-star. If you're a 5-star, get ready for the draft.
And one of these things is now, he's got to get the reps though, right?
Yeah.
It's clear that he still needs those reps, and he better play a long time against App State. He better play a long time against Miami, right? I mean, there's no question that he needs the reps to get comfortable in there.
Right.
And I understand you got to get your backups, but not right now.
No.
Not with a guy that still needs that kind of repetition.
Exactly.
The views of the defense and the feels in the pockets, right?
Now, if he didn't throw those picks, what would you have said about his game? Say those balls would have been dropped by you still would give him the same kind of grade? I didn't see.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's all about the reads, right? I just thought, and I said it during the game, there was a point where every throw was down the field, right?
It seemed like it.
And don't get me wrong, he was making some of them, but at some point, on several occasions, those throws were into double coverage, and even some that he completed were not necessarily the best reads. So, and like I said, he's been told, be aggressive, be aggressive, be aggressive. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's a time, but we always talked about it, right? It's a lot easier to rein back a racehorse than it is to ramp up a donkey.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I still think that a lot of those things are correctable. Now, if you're seeing the same thing against Miami, maybe now you have a concern, right? If you're seeing the same thing against Arkansas, maybe now you have a concern. Because he's going to have to sit back and the thing was that he had underneath players, available to him on all of those plays, right? A nice little check down to, one of them he had A-Chain underneath, had just settled down. He could have just popped it to him, give him the ball for, let him try to make a play. And we'll talk A-Chain.
Well, just that one of the first plays of the game, I believe, he threw a pass out to A-Chain. We built him up so much about, oh, man, he's got great hands. And A-Chain just, I was like,
and he let him a little bit, but, he still should have caught it,
He should have caught that.
So let's go there. Let's go to the running backs. And, everybody.
Running backs or back?
Running back.
Nobody
else got in the game during.
I didn't see anyone else.
I think A-Chain lost his helmet at one point, and Mar Daniels came in and got a meaningful with the first. But I don't think at any other time other than Anais, right?
Yeah.
Who lined up in the backfield and got touches.
Yeah.
It was A-Chain's game, right?
Yeah.
It was A-Chain's game. And I'll tell you this, and look, offensive line did not do him any favors on Saturday. There's no question about that. But I'm also going to say this. There's a reason. There was something about Isaiah Spiller had something, even with crappy offensive line play, he made little cuts that just were phenomenal, right?
Isaiah's a little bit more patient of a runner than A-Chain. A-Chain sees the hole, hits the hole. Isaiah will wait for something to develop, and that's something you learn over time too.
And another thing because there was a couple of times he hit the hole, the initial hole was there, and then the move was a cutback.
Yeah.
And boy, that was how Spiller made his yards, right? Mm-hmm. Boy, he'd take that, cut it back, and all of a sudden it's 30. Yeah. Right? And A-Chain would just keeps going off in that pattern, right? So he'll start seeing some of those cutback lanes, and I think some of the big plays will start to happen there. he needs to get more help from his offensive line.
He does. That'll come.
But you know what I was impressed with, man? He kept on coming, you know?
Yeah.
He was having a hard time. He wasn't having the greatest day, man. There was no put your head down. It just kept on coming. In the second half, he had some good plays, ended up with a touchdown. Not only that, but he also had a pretty good day blocking, by the way. Picking up some blitzes because the offensive line was struggling some. So he picked up some blitzes. We'll get into that. Well, he picked up some blitzes on some pass plays where he stepped up and hit the guy right in the mouth, you know?
Right.
And so I was very encouraged by that. I think that, I mean, you know how high we are on this kid as far as the season goes and all that stuff. Saturday wasn't his day. He's gonna need some more help. But at the same time, I also think that why didn't we see some of those other guys? Especially we get down goal line and you've got Anais at fullback and A-Chain at tailback. Why is Crownover not in there as a fullback maybe? Or why aren't you using one of the tight ends as a fullback? Yeah. Right? I mean, to get some of those guys some reps, a bigger guy that's going to be. There was one of the blocks down in the goal line where A-Chain had a real nice block for Anais, as a matter of fact. But still, it's not the guy you expect to have in there.
Yeah.
It's hard to really evaluate too much because it didn't seem like he had a ton of opportunities.
Well, if I had to, I'd say running game, F.
Running game for sure, F.
A-Chain on his just alone, I mean, for him, what we expect, F. I mean, we know he's got the talent. I think I've said it before, he's going to be drafted next year. He's going to be one of the top running backs coming out. We know what he can do. We saw it in practice, and it's just about putting it on the field.
This is not going to be the standard for him.
No. And, they saw something against Sam that we're not going to see a lot, and that's the stunts that you were telling me about before we came on.
Well, we may see him a lot now.
We might, but it's something they haven't practiced against because we don't have to do that.
No, we do it a lot too.
So we don't have to do it.
They see it against our defense.
They shouldn't see it as much. Not against the four-man. We're showing four-man fronts just coming. What did we show Saturday?
A lot of stunts.
No, I'm talking four-man fronts.
But I'm talking movement. No, not blitzes necessarily, but a lot of movement on the front.
You're talking between the fronts.
Slanty.
We got to get used to that because they're going to do that all season.
Everybody does.
Everybody does that. No. But I'm just saying, what Sam did, we should have dominated that game.
Yeah. 100%. And I do think that, we'll start seeing some progress as soon as this coming week. Let's move on to the wide receivers because I think this is one of the most impressive groups on the field all day. I was just absolutely, just in awe of that group. The depth we didn't even see Moose and Preston until this game was out of reach, right?
Oh,
Second group. And we still had depth at wide receiver. Guys like you talked about Keith, who made a huge play and a huge 60-something yard catch for a touchdown. You can see his speed. Obviously, Evan Stewart and his speed, man, were on display throughout. But not only that, they got him the ball underneath a couple of times, Evan, and he made guys miss. He's one of those guys that just looks different than everybody else on that field, right?
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does.
He had a couple of times where maybe blocking's still not his strength, but he's a slight dude. He's a slight dude. But he's it's not effort, though. I'll tell you that. It's not effort.
But, we have so many different guys. You and I were talking, like, where's Moose? Why is he not in the game? Why is Preston not in the game?
Price.
Price. I don't even know if Price played in the game. No. I don't know who was out. I didn't hear an injury report if some guys were nicked up or not.
Well, but like you said, we got to look at Marshall, who made some nice catches. Trace Lane looked all right, but he's just underneath possession, real, just reliable type guy. But he's in there. He made a couple of plays. Anais, what? Let me just stop here.
Yeah.
Because you know how much love I got for Anais.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
I think he is an absolute football player. The guy will do anything he's asked for this team, and no questions asked, right? That dude put on a show.
Yeah.
That dude put on a show. He came back for his senior year, and he looks ready to roll.
He does. And, the guys, you can just see it on the field when they play somebody like Sam. The talent difference with Anais, Stewart, Marshall, it's a huge difference in talent, and we exploited that in certain situations. And we talked about Haynes. I think if any of our quarterbacks were in there, we could have exploited that. That's my read on the game. It doesn't matter who was throwing the ball, as long as they got it to him. There's going to be something happen.
6 for 164, by the way, on a nice, a couple of TDs. And that I was so impressed because he's such a little dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he just goes over the top
mm-hmm.
on that guy on the corner, right? Like just boom, and snatches it. Just like I can't say enough for what I saw from this wide receiver group. In all honesty, I'm excited to see how they continue to develop because a lot of them are still young, right?
And that's something you got to give Haynes credit for. He does give the receiver a chance. I think maybe he has too much confidence in him and throwing the ball.
Maybe.
But, hey.
And look, the truth is that even that one pick in the end zone where he threw it to Stewart, if he throws it out over here over the right shoulder, that's a touchdown anyway. He didn't give him much of a chance.
I mean, the ball probably shouldn't have been thrown, but at the same time, if he would have thrown a little bit better, that's just about any pass you make. It's just a little bit better.
So no Moose, no Preston. I know you, and you love Preston. I love Moose, man. I think both of those guys are big-time playmakers. Not till the end of the game there that they get in.
Yeah.
If that continues, Moose is going to transfer, by the way.
He will. Preston's the 5th year. I don't see him going anywhere. But
Preston's like a 6th year.
Yeah, well, either way, And I didn't see the tight ends getting what happened with the tight ends?
No tight end usage. As a matter of fact, Crownover, the offensive tackle, they threw 89 on him, and he was the starting tight end for the game. They were trying to use him in the running game, and then it really wasn't obviously very effective because the guards didn't play worth a darn. But
So are those freshmen that far behind in the blocking that they can't get on the field?
Actually, Green started to get some reps in, and he was the guy that did get reps for the first group throughout the game. I'll tell you this, I thought he played decent, made some nice blocks a couple of times. He's already a better blocker than Weidemeyer.
Yeah, that's not saying much. So if Max Wright would have been there, would he have got a lot more playing time, you think?
Yeah, I think Max would have started. I'm not sure that they're to use Crownover, but I kind of like the idea of putting Crownover maybe in at fullback on a goal line situation. That's a big old boy with some movement in him, right?
Yeah.
And back to your point with A-Chain, there was a play where they pulled it was a power play, right, where they pulled the guard and then the tight end in behind, and it was Crownover. Well, A-Chain's through the hole before even Crownover turns up, right? A little bit more patience, and now you let him set up those blocks, and you can.
That comes with experience.
So, all right, we're going to move into the offensive line. I think this is where, some people maybe had a biggest problem with King, but offensive line, and I think this is where this team has a lot of work to do. Now, they started Zune, Aggie, Wyckoff, Layden Robinson, and then Father.
Right.
The guards, Moko played on both sides, and it was just rotation.
Yeah.
He was coming in and out in rotation. So they obviously wanted to get him reps with the group, the first group. And
training plan?
No.
Starts against Alabama and can't get on the field against Sam. I understand.
So, look, everybody's got a real problem with this group because of the fact that offensive line-wise, they weren't able to get anything going in the run game. I'll say this, they struggled, one. I went back and watched the detailed offensive line.
Right.
In the passing game, they weren't terrible. The tackles specifically played pretty well. Fatherly played really well in all aspects of the game. I thought he had a really good game. Zune, you could tell first game he got beat inside a couple of times, but it wasn't like he got beat physically, right?
Right.
He got beat inside because the guy boom and hard inside, and he let him in. Wyckoff, I thought, played a pretty decent game. There was a couple of times he was sort of on the ground, falling down and different things, but he was the best interior lineman on Saturday. Wyckoff.
Okay.
The two starting guards, both played horribly. That includes your All-American Layden Robinson.
Mm. Yeah, Aggie, I mean, I kept hearing his name, and it wasn't for good things.
Yeah.
You know?
So
All starts, holding, whatever he was doing was just...
There's, as an offensive line guy, right? And let me tell you, you know, for Sam, what they were doing was a lot of stunting, slanting, that, you know, loops with the defensive linemen. So they knew they couldn't beat you one-on-one, and they didn't. They didn't beat these guys one-on-one.
No.
But what they were trying to do is see, can these guys work together? Where's the combos at? And Layden and Aggie are no combo. You might as well forget it, because once the guy goes away, they turn their head and they're gone. That's the one thing, especially with a defensive line doing that, those guys have to start to play a lot slower, less aggressive, right? Come back to it, hold it, see it with your eyes up and go and moving. And if this guy goes away, pass him off, should be shoulder to shoulder, but your eyes better come back here because the other guy's probably coming from that side, right? But you should have your head on swivel. Instead, this guy would go away, and all of a sudden this guy would turn and just go to the next, and he's hauling ass up here. Well, here comes the guy completely unblocked with nobody coming through, right? So it turns into a game where you have to sort of slow down to get to the second level. There's no hurry to get to the second level. A lot of times they got up to the second level, there's nobody there, right?
Because they already got the backfield plays over.
Right. You know, so you're not in a rush when the defensive line is doing that. Slow down, take it easy, keep helping your guys, and keep your eyes and head on a swivel. Man, Aggie's the worst at it. He will get in there, and the moment something like this happens, poof, his eyes are in here. There's a guy coming right by him right here.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He does it in the past too, right?
Right.
In the past, he'll sit in there, boom, Wyckoff's got him. He turns and just, you know, I'm going to go help the tackle. Well, here comes the linebacker through the open door, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a technique thing at this point. They're going to see these stunts and these loops and these things all year round. They're going to see it this coming week against App State for damn sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They have to continue to work the combo blocks and working those two things. You know, Layden, I also thought, I don't know, man. He didn't look, he looked like it was his first game of the year, I guess. Right?
Well, that's what we're hoping for, huh? That's what maybe, you know, they can't do anything but get better. You know, and we'll see that this week against App State, and we'll go more into detail about App State later on, I'm guessing, because that was a hell of a game.
That was a hell of a game. So I don't know. Am I discouraged by the performance of this offensive line? Yes, I am. I'm very discouraged. But I also think that the mistakes are not physical; they're mental. And so hopefully,
and it was physical against Sam Houston, and something's wrong.
Yes. I guess hopefully, and let me bring Moko back into this conversation.
Well, is Wyckoff starting center the rest of the season or not?
Oh yeah, I felt great with it. I felt fine about Wyckoff.
Okay.
Everybody
wants not moving him over to guard like we talked about, or moving Foster.
Maybe Foster over to guard, right?
Is Foster still hurt? What's going on?
He's got a thing. He's got an illness that kept him out of the game. So
getting all those Matthews things or whatever he had last year.
Let's hope not. But you know, here's the thing. Look, Wyckoff didn't do anything to lose his job yesterday on Saturday. He didn't. He actually played pretty decent.
He had a freshman All-American that was playing center last year. Does he lose his job? Did he do anything wrong?
Yeah, I watched him play. He didn't deserve to be a freshman All-American. The guy didn't play very well.
Freshman.
But here's the thing. End of the day, here's the other thing. Moko, I thought, played better than the other two. I think Moko, he was a little bit more consistent. He was
Why can't Trainer get on the field? I understand that. How does he start against Bama and can't get on the field against Sam? And Aki's having a terrible game. Well, he started left guard. He started left guard last year.
He did, and he struggled.
Well, he started against Alabama.
It's because Aggie is physically
their best game of the season.
Aki's the physically most gifted one of them all, right?
It's up here too. I don't care how physically gifted you are. If you can't block, keep your head up and listen to the coaches. Get on the bench until you figure that out.
Well, I expect that he's going to get better. He's going to end up on the bench.
He's got to. The whole line needs to.
And like I said though, Fathery played a really good game. Really good game. The dude is a dancing bear out there, man. He did not allow pressure. Did not allow pressure.
We didn't give up a sack the whole game. I was looking at the stats. I didn't see any sacks.
No sacks.
Quite a few tackles for losses. way too many.
Yeah, in the running game, that's where the struggles were at. But, like I said, man, the tackles actually Zune played pretty well on the left side there, especially in pass protection. He got beat, like I said, a couple times in the running game, but he was encouraging also for his first start of the career at left tackle.
Yeah.
This group has to get a ton better.
Right.
This is why they brought the new offensive line coach in. Adazio has got some work to do, and now he's got tape to do it with, right?
Good.
Now he's got some tape to do it with it. Everybody always talks about the most improvement you see is week 1 to week 2. Well, we're about to find out, right?
Yeah.
All right, Corey, let's move over to the defensive side. Obviously, look, they pitched a damn shutout. You can't find a lot of faults there, right? Look, I think one thing stood out to me with this defense. Several things stood out to me with this defense. They're a better defense with 45 on the field. They were rotating a ton of players, by the way. Defensive line-wise and linebacker-wise.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the secondary, the corners. Mm-hmm. They rotated the corners a lot. So they played a lot of guys. Russell and White got a lot of playing time at linebacker, both on the field at the same time. This defense is a better defense with 45 on the field, period.
Oh, Cooper, yeah. He's a special player. The safeties, Richardson and Johnson, are special. They were all over the place. We had a number of defensive backs in there. I mean, I couldn't even think of it. Defensive line, we couldn't keep up with them. We're like, who's that?
So so this is another. So let's get into the defensive line and let's start on the interior, right? So one, McKinley Jackson didn't play.
Right? We were looking for him.
Yeah, McKinley Jackson didn't play, and I think that's a big part of this because honestly, the defensive tackle rotation was unimpressive at times.
Rakes, I was disappointed in Rakes, to be honest with you. I mean, I guess the run he held up, but I mean, I didn't see that interior push like I thought I was going to see. Yeah, we didn't bring any blitzes. It was mainly a 4-man. Nolan looks huge. He looks like a man among men.
So there's a number of those guys, right? They started Rakes and Turner.
Yeah.
And
Turner
I thought Turner looked good.
Yeah,
Turner played very well, and he made some plays. He was disruptive. He did all those things. I thought Turner played a really good game. I thought Rakes is still a guy that's in that rotation, but he's more of a backup, right? He does hold up pretty decently against the run. Yeah. Sometimes he gets up the field too much and gives up sort of gaps and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that's there. Nolan I thought looked impressive.
Yeah, just
that dude.
Just size alone.
Size alone.
Yeah, he's big. He's huge. He didn't look like that big that he can't move. He's the kind of big.
He moves. He got off the ball.
He's that impressive looking athlete. You're like, wow, this guy's.
I mean, he was making plays from the get.
Yeah,
right.
And he was shedding offensive linemen off of him, getting after it. I mean, he was.
The dude's a man.
You can see something special's coming with that guy sooner than later.
And you take with him, Turner, add McKinley to the mix, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that's pretty nasty.
And I'll tell you what, Nolan, at his size, I almost think you can move him a little bit to the outside. I'm just saying, he's that kind of athlete.
Yeah.
And Turner maybe also.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can talk about having 4 defensive linemen on the field. Guys are that big, getting upfield. They have that kind of talent. It's scary.
So, and like I said, Rakes stays in the mix. Look, Regis played a ton the other day.
Yeah, he did.
I wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
Look, he's a big dude, holds up against the run, but there's no come off the ball. He's not explosive. He's not going to create big plays in the backfield. I just thought that he's a guy that's in the rotation because we've got some other guys injured, basically.
Diggs looked good. Diggs was out there. He looked good.
At the defensive end, and we'll get into that. But, like, I'm talking interior rotation. Those are probably the guys. And Dindy probably, when he comes back healthy at some point, probably gets into that rotation. But now you still have a 4 or 5 man rotation. Right?
Yeah.
And that's first and second down because on third down, as they showed on Saturday, they're going to bring some of those smaller guys and bring them inside for the rush, right?
Well, yeah. You say smaller, that much smaller.
Right. So let's talk defensive ends. Look, man, I think I've been all off season. I've been talking about. We know Fidel Diggs is going to be the starting defensive end on this team.
Yeah,
he's solid, right? He showed me more than that on Saturday.
Oh yeah,
I was impressed with Fidel Diggs. Number 10 looked good.
Yeah,
number 10 looked good. What do you think?
I was impressed with the whole defense. I mean, he was impressive. Like I said, they were everywhere. I mean, it's not like they were giving up on plays. You know, back in the day, we'd see some of our superstars like, he didn't play on that. They were playing every play. And I'll tell you what, if they don't, somebody else is getting in there because we have a lot of depth. And that could almost be a problem. Like you were saying, hey, man, how are these guys going to get in a rhythm? They can't get in a rhythm. They're substituting too fast.
You know, and the defensive end, you know, you sit in there, and, you know, the defensive line, the rotation, I think is great because, you know, it's just like, I don't remember what game we were watching at the end of the game, and you know, like the Florida game, for example, against Utah. Utah was wore the heck out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Florida, you know, ended up going to win that game. You know, their defense couldn't put pressure on the quarterback. Our defensive line should be fresh in the fourth quarter.
Oh, it should be.
In there, right? But Diggs played strong against the run. Yep. He held up. He made plays and kept contained. And then on the pass rush, he was quick sometimes to get there and force quarterbacks into the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was very pleasantly surprised by Diggs' performance. And I know it's Sam Houston, but that guy's going to continue to be a big-time contributor for this defense.
Did we blitz at all that game? I mean, I don't know if we did.
A little.
Who was it? Who did they bring?
They brought Antonio a couple times. And then they brought the linebackers a couple times. A couple of them. Okay. So, you know, he was great. Adelier starts on the other side. Look, Adelier looks good against the run. He's one of those big guys that could probably transition into the inside, by the way, on passing downs, right?
Yeah.
But he's not like a prototypical pass rusher in the sense that he doesn't have that burst off the edge.
Yeah, we don't have any kind of Johnsons on there that are a little bit undersized, that are speed rushers. You're not going to see a lot of that.
So a couple of the guys that we saw on the field as well, Overton, I thought looked really good at defensive end, and he did show a little bit of
burst.
Burst.
Yeah, but he's a bigger guy. I mean, he's 280, 285 pounds.
I'm telling you, he still looked pretty quick.
But that's what I like.
And the other guy is Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
And he looked quick. You know, they also used Lucas and I White. And I White looked tiny, just way too small. And they used him on the inside and kind of dropped him off sometimes. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really get to see just him just coming off the edge with a burst.
That's what we saw last year, right? Was it White that we saw last year? Or was that
Lucas looked like he wasn't interested in being in that game. I'm serious. It took him like 7 seconds to come off the ball. It snapped the ball, and 3 seconds later, he'd engage with an offensive lineman. I'm not sure what's up with that because we thought he looked pretty good in practice and different things, but he was slow off the ball on Saturday.
The defensive line is pretty much what we thought it was going to be coming into the season. A lot of talent. Even the second year and third year players, there's a lot of talent, and if you're the defensive coordinator, just don't screw it up. You know, don't overthink this, especially against Sam Houston and even Ags State coming up. We're going to have a lot more talent than they are on that side of the ball. Don't screw it up, you know?
Yeah.
And it helps our secondary out so much, our linebackers out so much that you're not asking them to do more than what they need to do.
Yeah. I'll say this. I still think the concern that I had at the beginning of the year sort of showed a little bit on Saturday. Who's gonna be the guy that's on the and I got some positives from some of the young guys that I just talked about in Diggs, but I still think that there's not a ultra dominant defensive and pass rush guy. I still didn't see that guy. I saw some good guys, but not like Tyree last year. That guy, when he went. There was no question, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they can use Cooper coming off the edge and some of the blitzes that you've talked about to create that, especially with what we saw from the secondary. You know, you can use some of those guys and bring pressure that way because I still think on third down, and they did do packages, right, where they bring in a bunch of these young, slimmer, faster, supposedly guys.
Yeah.
But they still didn't really produce a lot. And I guess my point is they're gonna have to scheme the pressure. Going to linebacker. Here's your biggest concern on this defense. If Cooper goes down, they don't have a replacement.
I don't know. I think you put Antonio Johnson in there if you have to. Put Johnson or bring Richardson up, and because those guys are huge. I mean, for safeties, they're big. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not, but they're I mean, at the next level, they might be one of those hybrid linebackers that they're doing these days. Safeties turning into linebackers.
Look, and White made a couple of big plays, especially on he tipped that pass that ended up getting intercepted.
Yeah.
He had another tip ball that knocking something down. So he made some plays there in the passing game. I thought. In the running game, I think, is where sometimes he can struggle. Like, if he sees it right away, boy, he triggers and he's physical and he gets downhill and he'll go hit you.
He's athletic. It's all in his head, too. I mean, he just needs to read the play.
The problem is that half the time he triggers in the wrong direction.
Yeah, same thing we said last year.
And so it's recognition more than anything else. The guy that played a bunch of snaps, Russell.
Yeah.
And he's athletic. But, boy, he will turn a block down, son. He will turn a block down. I remember one play, he's sitting there, and, his job should have been to get over the top on the block by the guard. He should have taken it on, forced it back inside. And he looked at that guard, and he said,
yeah, don't hit me.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to get hit.
He is not physical, my friend. And, he did follow that up with a play, and they may have sent him, but he just went – just downhill right into the deal, and he took one on. But for the most part, he's not doing that.
I don't see those guys getting a lot of playing time. I don't see Russell getting a lot of playing time with White and Cooper stay healthy, and even White for that fact. If the defensive backs are playing that well, I don't see him playing.
I expect that one of the two freshmen is going to start getting some reps. I hope one of them starts to develop real quick because instinctively, White is not the best linebacker, and physically, Russell just ain't going to do it.
I was really surprised how many freshmen they played on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, both sides of the ball. I mean, especially defense. I mean, it was crazy how many freshmen we saw coming out of the game.
No, there's absolutely. It was a great number, including in the secondary, which we'll get into now.
Yeah.
Start with the corners, because I want to end up with the safeties. I thought the corners played excellent. George and Chappelle started, and then they brought in the two freshmen to get reps, Harris, Smoke, and they both got reps out there.
Right.
And I thought all four of those guys played really well. Chappelle got beat on one double move where they overthrew the guy.
Did Jalen Jones play?
No, he was out.
And Miles Jones is out too, right?
Yeah.
Both the Joneses are out. Okay.
And so, get those two guys back, right? You all of a sudden got a ton of depth.
Yeah.
Because in coverage, I thought the two freshmen looked phenomenal. I mean, Harris made a great play on one ball that was thrown his way. Smoke, I don't think got a lot of action in his direction. As a matter of fact, he played pretty well. And honestly, I thought George may have played the best of them all. Now, he's the most experienced. He's been around for a while. He's an older guy. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. No. He doesn't get as much in the pub around here, but boy, he had a really good game.
See, I have to go back and watch the game like you did because I haven't watched it yet. I want to see how much pressure the D-line got on him and how much time the quarterback had to get it out because I think that's going to play hand in hand with the secondary playing well. So, I mean, we're giving a lot of props to the secondary, which did play well. But did the quarterback was getting rid of the ball quick? Were they playing press coverage? Were they laying off a little bit? Because, Sam was probably thinking, we're going to get this ball out quick.
And so, one of the things you think about is, like, they didn't test the outside as much as, that much. So these corners didn't get a ton of work. We'll see more.
Yeah.
We'll see more. But
App State, we'll see some. I mean, we saw a lot of App State, what they did. It was impressive.
Overall, I thought there was very sticky coverage generally by those cornerbacks, which is, I think, generally what you're looking for in those guys, right?
Yeah, so 5 stars, 4 stars, and guys that are getting a little bit older. And we thought the secondary would be a strength. The D-line would be a strength. But the secondary for sure was probably.
So one of the groups that we loved all summer long was the safeties. And we had, the 3 guys that started, Gilbert, Richardson, and Antonio Johnson. Right?
Yeah.
With some depth behind them, I thought Bryce Anderson came in and played a little bit. I thought those 3 guys were pretty good. I thought it took maybe Antonio and Damani a little bit of time to sort of get into the game. I thought Damani still was a little bit slow in some reactions early in the game. I thought Antonio ramped it up as things went for sure. He was slow starting, but I thought he really ramped it up. I'm going to tell you the guy that impressed me was my guy.
Who?
Gilbert.
Oh, yeah, he did well. He had a pick, didn't he?
He had the pick. Not only that, though, there was times in the running game when he was the deep guy.
Yeah.
And when he saw it, he would trigger. And you want to talk about come downhill and make a play at the line of scrimmage. I mean, the dude was phenomenal. I thought he played a great game. And I'm impressed. I'm impressed with him. I'm impressed with him a lot. So overall, I thought the safeties played well. The only problem I'm going to say about that is that there were several times we didn't even think about covering a tight end, and I think it's a scheme thing.
Yeah.
So somebody better figure something out, because if I'm playing the Aggies this coming week, my tight end's going to get like 30 carries.
We're going to play a lot of good tight ends coming up here in the SEC.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be something. But yeah, I agree with you. I think the defense played great. Secondary, I didn't see them starting slow. I thought we played a little bit of a bend, don't break for a while. And we got the turnovers. So, but, I expected more turnovers. I expect a lot more. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you, right? I mean, I think we need to have, overall, there's still going to have to be some improvement with regards to what we're doing up front and getting pressure and doing some things. I think he'll start to use some of the blitzes to do that, or I hope he does, because that's not exactly where the strength is on the talent level, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. They're all young.
Gotcha.
All right, so let's go back to it. Offensive grade.
Overall?
Yeah.
C+. Because the quarterback I'm giving a C, the wide receivers an A, the running game, and offensive line down there D, F. So I mean, it's gonna be a C+.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. But I'm not even sure it's a plus. I think it's maybe a C-. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't good. I mean, I saw myself complaining a lot, but I'm comparing Haynes King to other stuff I was watching while the game was going on. The Carolina quarterback, I watched him, and
he's got like a natural feel to him, doesn't he?
God, yeah, and he's not a true freshman. You corrected me on that the other day. I thought he was. He's a red shirt, but the guy is just, I mean, he reads the plays quick. He's got a quick release.
He wasn't under the same sort of duress as Haynes King was either, though.
Well, I mean, Carolina, there's no way they have the same amount of talent as we have on the offensive line.
So I mean, but either way, I mean, we think it was a C-, C+, plus, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
How about defensively grade?
B+, A. I want to see more pressure. I think we could have done a lot of things better. We rotated a lot of players out. I mean, yeah, it was a shutout. I want to see more turnovers. I want to see more sacks. I want to see more quarterback pressure. I want to see more passes deflected. I want to see a lot of stuff. I want to see a dominance. I mean, total domination. I want to see a defensive touchdown. I want to see, I want to see that kind of stuff. Special teams, I want to see the same thing.
Yeah.
I want to see missed field goals. I hate that.
Definitely. The missed field goal was a disappointment. Because we've been talking up the kicking game.
Exactly.
So yeah, I thought the defense was good. It was really good. B+, I would say. That's what I'd give him a B+.
Yeah. I don't want to set the standard at A+ right now, because I know.
And it's hard to say that with a shutout, right?
It is. It's like, hey, they shut them out. Hey, we shut out Sam Houston. Yeah, that's great.
And the folks over at Texas are going to give Sam Houston a lot of credit. They're 21-1 in the last 2 years. Blah blah freaking blah 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 blah. Jimbo's going to tell you how good of a team they were, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. They are Sam Houston. They're not even, like their best recruit's a 3-star, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is, could have been better. A lot better.
Yeah. I mean, we were predicting scores to be.
There's things that we're going to improve
52-0, 60-10, scores like that.
Look, Jimbo, after the game, he seemed happy with the game. He still said, obviously need to play a lot better. Look, week 1 to week 2 is supposed to be the weeks that you sort of see the most improvement. I'd say you can go into even week 3, because you start to really get a feel for what you're looking at. So over the next couple of weeks, there's a lot of work to be done. Yes. As a coach, that's when we made our money, right? Because we had it on tape to show the players, hey, look, this is what you did. This is what you need to do, right? And so there's a lot to be said there. We will see how well this offensive staff, defensive staff do those things this
Right.
week.
Gotcha.
Because, by the way, around the nation, App State. I mean, it was North Carolina. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but they put up some points.
Yeah, they did put up some points, and they look fast. I mean, you were asking me during the game who has the most talent on this field. I mean, because App State's got some talent. They got some speed. Not real big. Their offensive and defensive lines are not going to be the size of the Aggies, but they're disciplined. Those guys, there's a reason that they win their conference almost every year.
They had some good athletes on.
Yeah, they got some athletes. They got a bunch of transfers in there at quarterback, at running backs. I mean, their conference. What are they in the Sun Belt? I guess I'm not sure what it is or whatever it is they're in. But they have talent, and
we'll get more into App State. We're going to do another pod this week. Pregame pod. A pregame pod this week. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more depth on App State there. But the game itself, by the way, was awesome.
Best game. Oh, I mean, I can't say. I mean, it was right there. There's a bunch of good games.
So many good games.
So the Florida quarterback impressed me after listening to all this hype. Richardson was very impressive.
I thought he was very impressive with his legs, not so impressive with his arm.
Yeah, I mean,
his arm. How hard he throws, very impressive.
How
accurately he throws.
Crazy to compare him to somebody, but I see a little bit of Patrick Mahomes in that kid. I really do. The way he can lift, I do. I see it. I see
maybe some.
Who? Russell?
Jamarcus Russell, maybe, yeah.
I just see the kid. I think he's good.
The dude's got a cannon. Don't get me wrong.
He does have a cannon. I mean, he's going to break some fingers.
There was a couple of times when I thought, that the receiver was thinking about catching and said no.
All right, real quick. Georgia?
What do you think? Super impressive.
Alabama?
Bennett, by the way, is a real college quarterback.
The number 11 team in the nation, Oregon. That everybody was saying, you and I, our bets didn't go as well as we hoped. That was one. We fixed it in the second half.
We did.
Georgia looked great. Alabama
looked really good.
Really good. Offense is clicking. Defense looked good.
Now, Georgia did advance supposedly better competition, though, right?
Yeah.
Alabama was Utah State. Nobody was expecting it.
Arkansas.
I thought Arkansas looked good. Against Cincinnati, a tough matchup in week one.
Lost a lot of talent in Arkansas. I mean, I can see that. Ole Miss.
I thought KJ Jefferson looked legit. I mean, the guy is going to continue to lead that team to wins. I'll tell you that. They're going to be a tough opponent. Vandy with win number 2. I think we took the over on the Vandy for the win.
Right.
We just need one more win.
One more. And we'll cash that ticket. Duke.
Impressive debut for Elko, my friend. Impressive.
9-point favorites. We took it. He did. It was on him. 130-0.
There you go. Ole Miss struggled in the second half. I thought that was something significant. Their quarterback's play wasn't really good in trying to replace O'Castle.
That Ohio State Notre Dame game was a little bit late. We've been drinking a little bit. Did you pay much attention to that game?
Yeah, I thought Ohio State struggled offensively some. Notre Dame I don't think is all that good offensively, Ohio State's defense is getting a lot of credit, but I'm not sure that they were being challenged that much, to be honest with you. So it'll be a good – once again, they've got talent, right? They've got players. Their big-time wide receiver got hurt during the game, so we'll see how long he may be out and what's going on with that. Look, they got talent. Offensively, they'll get better just like they did last year. Remember, they started with a little bit of a struggle offensively last year too.
Yeah.
I think they'll continue to get better as well. But overall, I was fairly disappointed in that team. And look, Notre Dame, I thought they came out and showed some real fight. They're not as talented, right? They just don't have the same kind of players that they do at Ohio State. But I thought they played hard, which is a good sign for that coach.
I've got a question for you real quick. After watching the games we watched this week, which conference looks good? Which conference looks bad? What do you think?
Well, I mean, surprisingly enough, I thought the ACC showed a little something.
Especially last night, beating LSU.
Florida State beating LSU last night.
You almost put Notre Dame in the ACC because they play an ACC schedule. Or a lot of the teams in the ACC, and they played Ohio State pretty
tough. NC State didn't exactly impress.
No, they got lucky to get off that field with a W. They're very lucky.
They should have lost that game.
Poor East Carolina's kicker. I felt bad for that guy. But, yeah, I mean, North Carolina had trouble.
But you take lost to Old Dominion. I guess that's not a very good ACC.
The worst conference right now has to be the Pac-12. They're just licking wounds right now. I mean, USC ran over Rice. nice. But you got Oregon losing bad to Georgia. Bad. Utah losing to Florida, who's supposed to be middle of the pack to the bottom of the pack of the SEC.
Yeah, that's the one that I was most surprised about. And I'll tell you this, I mean, hell, they had come down and took, and sort of taken the lead. They started to sort of impose their will there a little bit in the running game. Utah did.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, it just looked like their defense ran out of steam somewhat. But
then they ran out of time.
And the quarterback got the ball back, rising and came down and threw that pick at the end. So, but they had a chance to take the lead again, which would have been either way. Yes, I mean that's a struggle. You can't lose to Florida, who's a middle of the pack SEC team, if you're going to go win the Pac-12.
The most impressive player I saw all weekend played defensive line for Florida. 415 pounds.
That guy sucks.
I can't believe how big he is.
He's huge.
I could not believe how big he was.
He just needs to just lay down on the field.
Oh my God, it was crazy.
That guy's a mountain.
He is. He's huge.
Hey, Baylor, big win over Albany, of course.
Well, yeah, that's a winner.
How about another Aggie opponent? Miami over Bethune-Cookman, right? But now we know the competition's not there, but they put up 70.
You put Bethune-Cookman against Sam Houston. Sam Houston beats them 50-0. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just about mix and match. I mean, we'll find out more next weekend about all these teams, and it's week 2. And
Mississippi State beat Memphis, got a little revenge from last year.
Yeah.
So
Mississippi State's good, man. There's a lot of good SEC teams.
Wisconsin looked good. 38-0.
You guys? Northern Iowa or something?
Was it Illinois State?
Even better.
Yeah. So the competition wasn't great, but either way, man, 38-0, still at 38. And one of my feel-good stories of the year, Texas Tech, 63-10 over Murray State. That offense scored, I think, its first 8 possessions.
Yeah.
Touchdowns. Scored touchdowns its first 8 possessions. The guy for Western Kentucky is up to his old tricks. They threw the ball all over the yard.
Yeah.
And the quarterbacks look phenomenal. Now I know it's Murray State.
Yeah.
But that team is going to be fun to watch.
Who did TCU beat? They were favored by 14. But watch out for TCU because that Sonny Dykes, that offense is he's gonna score some points.
Yeah, they put
the second half. The first half was like 13-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Questions from the tailgate brought to you by Frida Homes, building Aggie dreams. Visit them at fridahomes.com. They do great work. All right. Question number 1. One thing on each side of the ball this team needs to do better. Start the offense.
Offensive line.
Yeah,
block. Just block.
Just block.
I mean, I'm going to Haynes King. We already talked about that. Mechanics need work, but I don't think you're going to change that overnight.
Yep. All right, question number 2. Or defense. One thing the defense needs to do better. Sorry.
Pressure the ball.
Yeah.
Backfield, get in the backfield. Disruptive turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. More pressure on the ball, whether it's more blitzes, more whatever, whether it's the defensive ends, whatever
score
it is.
Points. I want to see them score points.
Create habit.
Yeah.
After one game, how do you feel about your over-under predictions for the year? Remember we both said over 8.5. I think we both sort of indicated that 10 could be the scenario. What do you think?
I'll tell you, after watching some of these teams we're going to play, I'm a little nervous. Florida looked a lot better than I thought they were going to be. They beat Utah. Who else? Mississippi State. They look pretty good. Ole Miss, not as good as I thought they were going to be. Alabama looked really strong. I'm going to hold my 9 to 10 wins, but it's going to be a struggle sometimes. If we don't get better next week, Miami might be a struggle.
I think next week's a little bit more telling. I think the Miami game is obviously going to be a little bit more telling. Mm-hmm. I still think this team's talent level should get them to the over.
Yeah.
By the way, I just need to see vast improvement in the offensive line.
Ags Tailgate's going to score some points. I mean,
from week 1 to week 2.
They're going to score some points. I mean, they scored 60 almost against Carolina. Don't get me wrong. It's not the same teams.
They're not going to score 20.
They're going to score some points, though. It's not going to be a shutout.
It won't be a shutout.
Yeah.
But
I hope we don't have weather delays.
No weather delays. So, yeah, that's sort of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Corey? First one.
That's it, buddy.
Gig 'em Aggies. AP, Corey, signing out from the tailgate.
Adios.